Hello everyone. Today we're diving into a machine that could make modern heavy trucks question their career choices before breakfast. Long before giant diesel rigs filled highways, one British brute quietly dragged impossible loads through mud, quarries, forests, and construction sites where ordinary trucks simply surrendered. Meet the remarkable 1955 Scammell Constructor 6x6. A vehicle whose reputation was built on strength instead of speed. Scammell Lorries Limited of Watford, England, introduced the Constructor during Britain's post-war rebuilding years when industry desperately needed machines capable of moving equipment into places with little more than dirt tracks. Construction companies, mining operators, logging crews, oil explorers, and military engineers all demanded a truck that refused to quit. The Constructor answered with permanent 6x6 drive, enormous pulling ability, and a chassis built for punishment. While researching British transport museums and talking with restoration enthusiasts, I kept hearing the same phrase. If the Scammell couldn't pull it, you probably needed to rethink the project. I can't believe this happened, but one retired operator told me the truck often reached remote work sites before the road builders did. That sounds impossible until you see photographs of these giants crawling through axle-deep mud without complaint. Depending on configuration, the Constructor could haul payloads approaching 30 tons or drawbar combinations of roughly 150 tons, making it one of Britain's true heavy haulage champions. Production numbers were never enormous because these trucks served specialized industries rather than everyday transport, which explains why surviving examples attract collectors who appreciate engineering instead of chrome. Even today, enthusiasts still debate minor specification differences between early and later versions, although the overall reputation remains remarkably consistent. Unlike politicians making promises during election season, this truck usually delivered exactly what people expected. Power came from the respected C6 inline six-cylinder diesel, displacing 742 cubic inches, or 12 liters. Producing around 185 horsepower and approximately 500 5-pound-feet, or 685 newton-meters of torque, the engine emphasized relentless low-speed pulling instead of headline horsepower. Direct fuel injection, water cooling, and legendary durability made it popular well beyond Scammell, appearing in industrial machinery and military vehicles. Power reached every wheel through a manual constant mesh gearbox, a transfer case with high and low ranges, lockable interaxle differential, and heavy-duty final drives. I can't believe this happened, but after climbing into one preserved example, I realized the gear lever looked capable of stirring concrete. Nothing about this truck encouraged hurry. Measuring roughly to 25 feet long, or 8 meters, nearly 8 feet wide, or 2.5 meters, standing close to 10 feet, or 3 meters, tall and weighing around 44,000 to 45,000 pounds, or about 20 tons depending on configuration, it was an industrial giant. Top speed reached only about 28 to 31 miles per hour, or 45 to 50 kilometers per hour, while fuel consumption often ranged between 40 and 60 liters per 100 kilometers depending on terrain. Heavy beam axles, semi-elliptic leaf springs, a live front axle, dual rear drive axles, and air-assisted drum brakes created a machine happier crossing rough ground than cruising smooth pavement. I can't believe this happened, but drivers joke that impatient dreamers complained about its speed only until they watched every faster truck become hopelessly stuck nearby. Looking at the 1955 Scammell Constructor today, we quickly understand that every line followed function before fashion. The long bonnet, tall stance, and massive wheels were not styling exercises, but practical solutions for mechanics working in remote locations. The heavy-duty frame resisted severe twisting without structural damage, while the 6x6 drivetrain allowed the truck to crawl through mud, sand, and rocky ground that defeated conventional lorries. During the mid-1950s, Scammell continued refining the design, eventually introducing the more powerful Super Constructor with upgraded Rolls-Royce engines, including the supercharged C6S and optional semi-automatic transmission. One particularly fascinating machine built for Pickfords carried a gigantic 38-litre, or 2,181 cubic inch, Rolls-Royce V12 petrol engine originally developed for military service. That incredible truck remains one of the rarest and most admired Scammells ever created. Somewhere, a toxic neighbor probably complained that it was too noisy, while everyone else quietly admired several dozen tons of British engineering passing by. Compared with other heavy off-road trucks of the 1950s, the Scammell Constructor earned respect through durability rather than speed. Many competitors could transport heavy loads, but few inspired the same confidence in miserable working conditions. Quarry operators, pipeline builders, logging companies, and military engineers valued dependable traction far more than comfortable cabins. That philosophy still explains why restored constructors appear at historic vehicle shows surrounded by fascinated crowds. Collectors know surviving examples are uncommon, and authentic Rolls-Royce-powered trucks are especially desirable. Historical documentation occasionally disagrees on production details, yet there is broad agreement that the constructor helped establish Scammell as one of Britain's leading specialist heavy vehicle manufacturers. Watching one move today feels like seeing an industrial cathedral rolling across the landscape, except this cathedral can rescue another truck before lunchtime, while a few ambitious politicians are still discussing whose responsibility the muddy road actually is. Before we reach the numbers collectors love, this remarkable British machine deserves genuine appreciation. It was never built to impress people outside cafes or win traffic light races. Instead, it earned respect where work was difficult, conditions were harsh, and reliability mattered more than appearances. That honest purpose is exactly why enthusiasts continue preserving these giants decades after their working lives ended. Now for the values everyone has been waiting for. When new, a Scammell Constructor was an expensive specialist investment, but surviving documentation does not provide one universally confirmed factory price for every configuration, so historians avoid quoting a single figure. Auction values today vary greatly according to originality, restoration quality, and specification. Rare Rolls-Royce-powered examples, especially unusual vehicles such as the famous Pickfords V12 truck, command significant collector interest whenever they appear publicly, although sales remain extremely uncommon. To every wonderful supporter who joined our YouTube channel membership, thank you for keeping these forgotten mechanical legends alive. You're the reason we can keep digging through dusty archives instead of pretending family vacations are exciting. If you enjoyed today's journey, subscribe to the channel before your neighbor claims this magnificent Scammell was actually just a small delivery truck. Trust me, that's a friendship